Welcome in everybody to another lesson. Today we are going to talk about the volume of cubes and spheres. So, what is volume exactly? Well, this is taking shapes into a three-dimensional realm. And it's about capacity. So, for example, here we have a cube. A cube is the equivalent, the 3D equivalent to a square. Of course, you have the base, which is the length times the width, or if it's a square in a cube, it's just a side squared. Well, you're adding the height in a three-dimensional object. So in a cube, it would actually be a side cubed, a side to the third power. So let's say you have 5 feet. You have 5 feet for one of the sides of a cube. In a cube, all sides are going to have the same length. Why would you want to find the volume, though? The volume is for capacity, how much you could fill an object with. Like if you're filling a pool with water, for example, you're going to want to know the volume of it, how much water you could put in it to fill it up. Or a box, how much you could put in a box to stack it up here, like in a cube. So the volume of a cube, you just take one of the sides to the third power. That's all the volume of a cube is. So here we have, to find the volume, we have one of the side lengths being 5 feet. So you would take 5 feet to the third power. Well, 5 to the third power, that's 125 feet. Well, 125, the feet cubed, that would be indeed feet to the third power, cubic feet, or feet cubed. So the volume is 125 cubic feet. And that would be, that's your units for volume, or cubic feet. So let's say now you had 25 meters. You're wanting to fill a perfect square, huge box, probably for a pool. I mean, if you have a cube size pool, which I don't think is very common, but let's just go with it and say we do. You want to find the volume of a cube. Again, you're going to take your 25 meters to the third power. And of course, this is where I need to break out the calculator, because what is 25 to the third power exactly? I know 25 to the second power, but I don't know it to the third power, so I'm going to have to use a calculator. So that would come to 15,625. That's 25 to the third power is 15,625. The meters to the third power, well, that would be just that. Meters to the third power. So the volume of this cube is 15,625 meters cubed, or cubic meters, however you want to say it. So with cubes, remember, it's a perfect square on all its faces. You're just adding height. So that's how you get that it's just one side to the third power for a cube. Now in this lesson, we also set out to talk about spheres. So it seems cubes are pretty straightforward. Let's talk about spheres. So what is a sphere? That's the 3D equivalent to a circle. Let's draw a little bit here and a little bit there. Let's try to make this take on a 3D shape. Now we can kind of see a 3D resemblance in the circle of making it a sphere. So a ball, that's a classic sphere. So if you want to know how much water to put in a water balloon, roughly, if it's spherical, if you make the balloon a perfect sphere, you'll know about how much water to put into the balloon. Although most water balloons are oblong, so it's a little bit different. But how much air you could put in a ball, this is where the volume would come in for a sphere. The volume for a sphere is going to be 4/3 times pi times the radius to the third power. 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. So let's find the center of the sphere. Let's say to any point, let's see, the radius is going to be, we'll say 7 inches. 7 inches for the radius of the sphere is the radius. So we want to find the volume. That's going to be, in this case, 4/3 times pi times that 7 inches to the third power. So, of course, order of operations dictates that we do the exponents first. So you'll still have 4/3 times pi. Now we need to figure out what 7 to the third is. What is 7 to the third power? I get 343. Inches to the third power is just that. You'll have cubic inches. Now what we need to do is we need to start multiplying from left to right. So we'll take 4/3 times pi. You get approximately, we're going to round this to 2 decimal places, 4.19 times 343 cubic inches. So what I just did was 4/3 times pi. I got 4.19 times the 343 cubic inches. So let's do 4.19 times 343. You get approximately 1,437.17 cubic inches. That would be the volume of the sphere with a radius of 7 inches. 1,437.17 cubic inches. Alright. So, whoops, I did not mean to erase the formula. We're going to do probably 1 to 2 more examples with a sphere. Alright. This time, let's say the sphere has a 25 centimeter radius. We use centimeters this time. So the radius of this sphere is 25 centimeters. To find the volume, of course, we're going to take that 4/3 times pi times the 25 centimeters to the third power. Well, of course, again, order of operations dictates we do the exponent first. So we'll have 4/3 times pi. I believe 25 cubed is 15,625. Let me just double check that. 25 to the third. Yep, 15,625 cubic centimeters. Make sure everyone can see that. Yep, okay. So we got, when we raised 25 centimeters to the third power, we got 15,625 cubic centimeters. Now we just have a simple multiplication problem. Let's start with 4/3 times pi, which we determined rounding to 2 decimal places was 4.19. We'll take that times the 15,625 cubic centimeters. I should say approximately equal. So now we just do the multiplication of 4.19 times 15,625. You get about 65,468.75 cubic centimeters for your answer for the volume. So the volume of this sphere is 65,468.75 cubic centimeters. Alright. Let's do one more. Alright. Because, yeah, the cube was pretty straightforward. The sphere, not so much. A sphere basically is a perfect circle in 3D. Let's say we have a 100-mile radius. We'll say it's 100 miles. The radius of this sphere is 100 miles. Like you're flying in the sky. You're being told to stay away from a 100-mile area, a 100-mile radius, even in the airspace. So we want to find the volume or the area you really need to stay away from. Well, that would be 4/3 times pi times your radius to the third power. That'd be 100 miles to the third power. Which would now, of course, we do our exponents first. You go 4/3 times pi. Let's figure out what 100 to the third power is. I could probably do it in my head, but I'm feeling a bit lazy today. 100 to the third power, that's 1,000,000. Holy moly. That's 1,000,000 miles to the third. Well, that's just that, cubic miles. So, yeah, 100 to the third power is 1,000,000. Alright. So now we have a simple multiplication problem. We've already determined that 4/3 times pi is approximately 4.19. We'll take that times our 1,000,000 cubic miles. And now we just take 4.19 times 1,000,000. 4.19 times 1,000,000. Yep, as I thought. It would be 4,190,000 cubic miles. So the volume of this sphere would be 4,190,000 cubic miles. So really all there is to finding the volume of a sphere is just take 4/3 times pi times the radius to the third power. And that's really all there is to this. So next lesson we're going to talk about the volume of prisms and cylinders. That'll be the next lesson. The volume series will be done in 3 lessons. This was one of the 3 lessons. So the next lesson will be prisms and cylinders. I hope everybody has a good day. Take care.